This is Terminal Zero, a transmission from the past, a record for the present, a signal meant to carry forward what should not be forgotten. 15 years ago, Halo Reach was released, the final Halo crafted by Bungie, a farewell to the series they created, and a story unlike any they had told before. Not the legend of victory, but the memory of loss. Not the myth of the invincible, but the truth of the inevitable. Reach is a tragedy, a story where every mission, every firefight, every act of courage unfolds under the shadow of a fate already sealed. We know the ending before we begin, and yet we play, we fight, we endure. Because Reach is not about whether humanity wins, it is about what we give when we know we cannot. This essay is not just about a game, it is about what Reach means 15 years later, how it reshaped Halo, how it redefined sacrifice, and why it still lingers in memory long after the credits rolled. This is the fall of Reach, and this is why it matters.
I need you in that fight, Noble One. Noble One, come in. Noble One, do you read me?
This is Sierra 259. You got Spartans on the ground, sir. We're not going anywhere.
The year was 2010. Bungie had already delivered what many believed was the perfect trilogy. Halo 3 closed the book on the Master Chief. A legend, a conclusion, a victory. Where could the story possibly go from there? Their answer was backwards, to the beginning. To a story every fan already knew but no one had truly seen. The fall of Reach. From the moment it was announced, Reach carried a weight no Halo game had ever attempted before. Because this wasn't about winning. It wasn't about finishing the fight. It was about watching humanity lose, and making that loss unforgettable. It was a risk, a dangerous one. Prequels often fail because the ending is already written, but Bungie leaned into that inevitability. They weaponized it. Every design choice, every mission, every character beat pointed toward the same unavoidable truth. Reach will fall, and you cannot stop it. This was also Bungie's farewell, their final statement before handing Halo to another studio. Reach wasn't just a game, it was a goodbye letter. A story not of heroes surviving, but of heroes sacrificing. A world that wasn't saved, but remembered. And that's why Reach is different. It isn't Halo 4, 5, or Infinite. It isn't even Halo 3. Reach stands alone, because at its heart, it is a tragedy, and tragedy is timeless. If Reach is a tragedy, Noble Team are its chapters, not heroes in the mythic shine of armor-polished legend, but members of a squad with faults, histories, and small private moments. Each death isn't just an event, it's a punctuation mark, a decision by the writers to make loss feel specific, not generic. Carter is the anchor, the leader who accepts what command demands. He is not a myth, he is responsibility personified, the weight on the team's shoulders. His death doesn't arrive as spectacle, it lands as consequence. When the team loses its anchor, everything else tilts. The moment is less about pyrotechnics and more about the silence afterwards. Kat is precision, the team's brain. She talks through probabilities and plans. Her death comes like a knife through that logic, sudden, sharp, and almost unfair. Bungie uses that unfairness to remind the player that skill and planning cannot always outrun chaos. Her loss is not just tactical, it is personal. The team isn't just down a specialist, it's down someone who translated strategy into survival. Emil is a mythmaker in miniature, the Spartan, who wears his fearlessness on his armor. He is the close-quarters terror the Covenant dread, and the irony of his end, felled in a way that echoes his whole style, gives the scene almost Shakespearean weight. Bungie stages his death to sting, a master of the blade undone by the elegance of the enemy's weapon. It's an angry, intimate ending that says nothing about invulnerability.
Bad news is, time is fried. I'm gonna have to fire it manually.
That's a one-way trip.
We will make it sooner or later. Better get going, Six. They're gonna need you down there. Listen, Reach has been good to me. Time has come to return the favor. Don't deny me this. Tell him to make it count.
George carries heavy things, weapons, armor, the expectation that brute force can change outcomes. His sacrifice reads like a practical act of love. He dies so others might live. That practical calculus is the backbone of Reach's tragedy. There is nothing cinematic about his last breath. It is a mechanic of war, choices, payloads, timing. That prosaic quality makes it somehow crueler. Jun is the anomaly, the last name left standing when the roster is erased. He's a reminder that survival in war is not virtue so much as randomness. His continued existence after Reach complicates the neat arc of tragedy. It's a reminder that history is messy, and lucky survivors carry a different kind of wound. Noble Six is the paradox at the center of Reach. Designed as a blank slate, faceless, nameless, Six is also the point of entry for the player's moral alignment. You decide when to help, when to push, when to save a teammate or hold the line. And then the game pulls the rug out. The player becomes not the invincible legend, but the martyr's body in the sand. That transition from anonymous soldier to the singular, lonely death is Reach's coup. It makes the end personal. It turns inevitability into something you feel. You didn't fail the mission. You were always on the mission to fail, and that knowledge changes how every victory earlier in the campaign tastes. Put together, these deaths don't just tally a casualty count. They are carefully chosen counters, each one resonant with irony, theme, and character. Carter's duty, Kat's sudden absence, Emil's brutal intimacy, Jorge's practical sacrifice, Jun's guilty survival, Six's lonely closure. Together they make Reach less a set of missions and more a sequence of elegies. Halo. Reach is more than its story cutscenes. It's a game where the mechanics themselves become part of the tragedy. The way Bungie designed combat encounters, mission structures, even weapon balance, all of it works to reinforce the idea that Reach is doomed. From the start, Reach feels slightly different than Halo 3 or ODST. Weapons have more recoil, enemies hit harder, and ammo seems scarcer. You are powerful, yes, but never invincible. This is Bungie deliberately tightening the screws. Every battle is winnable, but always with just enough cost that it wears you down over time. Look at the way levels are structured. Missions don't end with clear triumphs. They end with retreats, with evacuations, with objectives partially complete but never whole. You hold the line until the order comes to fall back. You fight for ground you know you cannot keep. That rhythm builds a feeling of erosion, as if the planet itself is slipping through your fingers no matter how well you play. The armor abilities also feed this theme. Sprint lets you run, but not far enough. Armor lock can buy you seconds, but never forever. Jetpacks let you rise above the battlefield, but only temporarily. Each ability feels like a fleeting edge, a survival tool that delays the inevitable instead of rewriting it. And then there's Firefight. On the surface, it's just a wave-based survival mode. But in the context of Reach, it reads as a metaphor. An endless war of attrition. You play until you fall. There is no winning state, no extraction, no conclusion. Firefight tells you plainly what the campaign implies. Survival is temporary. Loss is permanent. Even the final mission, Lone Wolf, is mechanical storytelling at its purest. No cutscenes, no scripted dialogue, just the player, dropped into a hopeless fight. Enemies keep spawning, ammo runs dry, health dwindles. The game doesn't ask if you will die, it asks only how long you will last before the screen fades to black. That is gameplay transformed into eulogy. This is why Reach resonates differently than other Halo titles. The mechanics themselves participate in the storytelling. They are not neutral systems carrying a plot, they are the plot. They echo the inevitability of Reach's fall. Every bullet fired, every shield broken, every desperate retreat adds weight to the idea that this world was never meant to be saved. At its core, Halo Reach is about sacrifice. Not the abstract kind we read in textbooks or hear in speeches, but the intimate, personal choices that carve meaning out of inevitability. Every member of Noble Team represents a different shade of sacrifice, and the game itself makes sure you feel the cost of each one. Carter gives his life as a leader should, by shouldering the weight so others can go on. Kat is taken suddenly, her sacrifice forced upon her without warning. Jorge offers himself in deliberate exchange, trading his life for a slim chance at saving the planet. Emil refuses to go quietly, embodying the sacrifice of defiance, carving a mark, even as he falls. And 6. 6 is the final punctuation, the sacrifice that closes the story and makes the tragedy whole. What makes Reach powerful is not that its characters die, but that their deaths are certain from the beginning. The game is haunted by inevitability. Bungie never hides it. The opening shot is a helmet in the dirt. The title screen is tinted with loss. Even when you first meet Noble Team, there's an unspoken shadow that hangs over them. You can't save Reach. You never could. This inevitability changes how the story feels. Victory becomes temporary, fragile. Every mission you survive is only a delay of the end. Even the grandest triumphs, destroying a cruiser, pushing back an invasion force, dissolve into ashes as the larger war closes in. The message is clear. No matter how hard you fight, some battles cannot be won. And yet, Reach is not a story of despair. It is a story of what we choose to give in the face of despair. Sacrifice is framed not as pointless, but as essential. Jorge's death doesn't stop the Covenant, but it gives humanity time. 6's final stand doesn't change the outcome, but it ensures the survival of Cortana, and with her, the chance for humanity's future. Sacrifice in Reach is not about victory. It's about endurance. It's about leaving something behind, even when you know you won't see its fruits. That is why the game resonates. It reminds us that heroism is not measured by whether you win, but by what you're willing to give when losing is the only outcome. And this is why Reach still hurts 15 years later. Because it's not just the story of Spartans, it's the story of anyone who has ever stood against impossible odds, knowing they cannot prevail, but choosing to stand anyway. It's a story about the beauty of sacrifice in the shadow of inevitability. "15 years later, Halo. Reach is remembered not only as the last Bungie Halo, but as a turning point in how video games could tell stories of loss and inevitability. Its influence is felt across the franchise and even outside of it. Within Halo itself, Reach reshaped how fans understood the universe. Before Reach, the Spartans were legends, mythic warriors wrapped in invulnerability. Reach showed them as human. It stripped away some of the invincibility and replaced it with vulnerability, with flaws, with the reminder that even Spartans die. This shift in tone echoes forward into Halo 4 and Halo 5, where the humanity of the Spartans becomes central to the story. Reach also influenced how players viewed the Master Chief. When Halo Combat Evolved opens, Chief is not just humanity's savior. After Reach, he is the last echo of a brotherhood that gave everything. Every mission with him carries the ghost of Noble Team. Their absence makes his survival more meaningful. Beyond the franchise, Reach left a mark on game design itself. The Lone Wolf mission is often cited as one of the most effective uses of gameplay as narrative. Many later games borrow from it, using unwinnable scenarios, doomed last stands, or player character deaths to underline themes. It showed that mechanics could deliver emotional impact equal to cutscenes, and developers took notice. The game also cemented Bungie's reputation for building not just shooters, but experiences. Reach proved that you could take a genre often defined by power fantasy and use it instead to tell a story of fragility, of inevitability, of quiet heroism. That DNA can still be seen in Bungie's later work on Destiny, in the tone, the sense of scale, the idea that every victory comes at a cost. And for players, Reach left something deeper: memory. Everyone who played it remembers where they were when Kat fell, when Jorge sacrificed himself, when Emil went down swinging, and when Six was left alone. These moments are etched into the shared memory of a generation of gamers. They became not just game beats, but cultural touchstones, reminders that games could make us feel grief, admiration, and inevitability all at once. The legacy of Reach is not that it changed the ending of the Halo saga. It's that it changed us. It showed us that a video game could be more than escape. It could be a mirror, reflecting the cost of heroism, the weight of sacrifice, and the truth that not every story ends in victory. Halo, Reach does not end with triumph. It ends with silence. A helmet in the dirt, a body left behind, a world consumed. And yet somehow that ending is what gives the entire Halo saga its heart, because without Reach the later victories would mean less. The Master Chief's survival would feel lighter. Cortana's journey would feel detached. The war itself would lose its weight. Reach gives the saga its anchor. It reminds us that every victory humanity earns is paid for in blood, in sacrifice, in lives we'll never fully know. 15 years later, Reach still resonates because it doesn't lie to us. It doesn't wrap its tragedy in false hope or pretend the outcome can change. It simply asks, what will you give when you know the end is certain? And then it answers, through Noble Team, you give everything. This is why Reach is remembered not just as a game, but as a memorial, a monument carved into digital space, a place we return to not to change history, but to remember it, to remember the Spartans who stood against inevitability, to remember what was lost so that something else could be saved. And maybe that's the final gift Reach offers us 15 years later, a reminder that even in failure there is meaning, that sacrifice matters, that some stories aren't about winning at all, but about how we choose to face the impossible. Reach has fallen, but in falling it gave us one of the greatest stories gaming has ever told, a story we still carry, a story we will not forget. This was Terminal Zero, a record of the fall of Reach, a memory of those who gave everything when nothing could be won. 15 years later, the signal still carries, not of victory, but of sacrifice, not of survival, but of meaning. The Spartans are gone. Reach has fallen, but their story remains and we will not forget. End transmission.